Evening and welcome to this very special evening. Tonight we have the great honor to hear from Rabbi Daniel Glatstein Shlita. We'll be speaking about his amazing sefer, his amazing book called The Darkness and the Dawn, put out by Art Scroll. Everyone should please share the link right now. They can watch right now. Your friends, family. And the link is, they can watch right now on TonyTime.com/ChazakLive, TonyTime.com/ChazakLive, or they could call in at 718-298-2077, extension 46. Again, 718-298-2077, extension 46. We'll be starting momentarily. Again, everyone's reminded they can order the sefer, the book. Rabbi Glatstein is going to be giving us some words about this evening. The Rabbi Glatstein's amazing new sefer is talking about the 3 weeks, powerful, amazing sefer, very popular sefer, popular book. You can order it right now on artscroll.com or rabbidg.com. There's actually a very special promo code for free shipping. It's called Dawn Free, DAWANFREE, and you will get free shipping. Again, everyone is reminded, purchase the sefer, the book right now while you still remember at artscroll.com or rabbidg.com, and you can get free shipping with the promo code if you use the promo code Dawn Free, DAWANFREE. We are here on behalf of the Chazak organization and Chickens for Shabbos. As you know, the Chazak organization organizes amazing events and shiurim like tonight in person and virtually, that inspire thousands of people throughout the world, throughout the year. And Chazak's main mission to help educate Jewish public school students through after school and Sunday school programs in over 15 different locations, and with the ultimate goal of hopefully helping them transfer to yeshiva. Chazak has a special division called Public School to Yeshiva Division, which has helped transfer over 1,200 children over the last 5 years from public school to yeshiva. Someone watching right now, someone knows someone who has children in public school to transfer to yeshiva, reach out to Chazak right now. Email us at psty@chazak.org, psty@chazaq.org. Everyone is reminded about the great work of Chickens for Shabbos, tremendous organization which helps feed the families of agunos, women who can't get a divorce, grushos, divorcees, as well as malamim, teachers of Torah like Rabbi. Everyone should support them right now. It will be a tremendous chus, merit for you and your family. Donate right now at chickensforshabbos.com. It is our great honor to call upon Rabbi Daniel Glatstein.
Bruchim Abayim, welcome everyone. This is a special program in honor of the sefer that came out last year for the 3 weeks, Tafshin Pei Aleph. The book is The Darkness and the Dawn. Tonight's special program is hosted by Chazak. I want to thank my dear friends at Chazak, Rav Ilan Meirav, Rav Yaniv Meirav, Rav Rabbi Eba, for organizing and hosting tonight's event. Whatever you could do to help out Chazak and their incredible efforts in spearheading many projects for the Jewish people, especially in the area of enrolling public school students in yeshivas. Whatever you could do to help them, it will be a great investment. Tavei Aleichem Bracha. Tonight's shiur is sponsored by Chickens for Shabbos. Yes, you haven't heard about them in quite a while. Chickens for Shabbos. Please go to the Yad Eliezer site and click the icon for Agunos, Grushos, and Malamdim. The Chickens for Shabbos helps those in Klal Yisrael who need it the most, those who are on their own. For the Rabbeim of Klal Yisrael, without them there would be no future. So please go to the Yad Eliezer site and contribute generously, whatever you could do. Tavei Aleichem Bracha Min HaShamayim. Now the book, The Darkness and the Dawn, was the third sefer to come out from Art Scroll after The Mystery and the Majesty and The Light and the Splendor. Mystery and the Majesty is on Yomim Noraim and Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur and Sukkot. The Light and the Splendor, Chanukah and Tu B'Shvat. Most recently, we came out on Purim in English for Art Scroll, The Concealed and the Revealed, but the penultimate work as of now, The Darkness and the Dawn. By the way, I'm going to give you top secret information. Don't tell anybody yet. The next book coming out for Art Scroll is going to be on the Haggadah. So if you have some good titles, some good Haggadah titles, please let us know, but that's in the works. We've already started on that. That will be, with Hashem's help, the fifth sefer for Art Scroll. But tonight we are devoted to discuss the darkness and the dawn. And if you remember last year when the darkness and the dawn came out, it was completed upon the shloshim of my revered grandfather, Harav Mordechai Leib Glatstein, Zecher Tzadik Levracha. And just this morning, I read over the preface to the book The Darkness of the Dawn, which speaks about, gives some biographical information of this tzaddik, Harav Mordechai Leib Glatstein, Zecher Tzadik Levracha, and I myself was moved to tears, if I may say so, even though this is information that I wrote, and I've said over many, many times, but it's been, some time has passed, and I was very deeply moved to again remember and make more vivid the memory of this great tzaddik. We know Yirmiyah Hanavi said about himself, Ani hagever ani b'shevet evrasai. I am the man who has seen the affliction of his people. Yirmiyah Hanavi was the prophet of doom. He even cursed the day of his birth. He was born, of course, on Tisha B'Av. Amazingly, the Stipler says the words Ani hagever is numerically valued Yirmiyahu, Yirmiyahu. But in our times as well, the Jewish people had the merit to and the privilege to have an individual, a great tzaddik, our grandfather Zecher Tzadik Levracha, Harav Mordechai Leib Glatstein, who also wrote the words Ani hagever ra'a ani, in describing what he saw in the Warsaw Ghetto, where he saw skeletons extending their bony arms as if begging for mercy and life. He saw the ghetto littered with corpses, faces distorted and swollen, their eyes open wide, skulls crushed, blood everywhere. No imagination, no matter how dark, could possibly conceive of anything we've seen and lived through. No language has been created to describe the enormity of the Holocaust and the slaughter of European Jewry. The yells of the women, the weeping of the children. Our grandfather lived through the darkness of the Jewish people. Throughout all the years and the various camps, we've spoken many times how my grandfather risked his life to perform mitzvahs. A story that has become very well known is the time that, together with his brother, Uncle Henoch, Zecher Tzadik Levracha, they smuggled in a pair of tefillin into Radom, which was under the direction of one of the most brutal Lagerführers, a Russian by the name of Ficus. If he would have caught them, they would have been shot on the spot, and every day they woke up at the crack of dawn to put on the tefillin. First my grandfather would put on the tefillin, and then he would give it to his dear brother Henoch. And one morning when my grandfather was putting on the tefillin, first the shel yad and then the shel rosh, and he took them off and he gave it to Henoch, and Uncle Henoch put on the tefillin shel yad, and then just as he was about to put on the tefillin shel rosh, Ficus barged in, and he picked up the gun to shoot, but then he saw the tefillin perched on the head of the tzaddik, and a look of fear and dread came over the Nazi's face, and he put down the gun and he ran out. My grandfather said it was an open miracle fulfillment of that which the Gemara says in Brachos, on the pasuk in Yeshaya, on the pasuk, in Devarim, V'ro kol amei haaretz, ki shem Hashem nikra alecha, v'yaru mimeka, elu tefillin sheberosh. And this story always leaves me with the following idea, that even though it was a time of Hester Panim, and it was a time of concealment, and a time of darkness, but there was a certain Gilui Shechina, an open revelation, mitoicha hastara. What's interesting is that Chazal tell us when the Gentiles went into the Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Holy of Holies, at the time they destroyed the temple, assuming they would see the cherubs back to back against each other. As we know, the Gemara tells us that when Klal Yisrael were not doing the will of God, the Cheruvim were away from each other, they were embracing in great love. Because this demonstrates that even at time of concealment and darkness, sometimes there is raw Giloi Shechina. After the Holocaust, after the war, my grandfather was interviewed by the secular media, And the media asked him, Rabbi, after being an eyewitness to the brutality of your people, the massacre of Klal Yisrael, the murder of your brothers and sisters, Rabbi, tell us the truth. Did you at any time lose faith in your God? Did you at any time lose faith in the promises of the Torah? And my grandfather responded, did I lose faith? Yes, I lost faith. I lost faith in mankind, in humanity. How could human beings become animals? How could a civilized nation like Germany shed its conscience? How could the United States of America and other democratic countries look the other way, make believe they didn't know what was happening when there's evidence? They could have bombed the railroad tracks to Auschwitz, they could have bombed the camps, but instead they bombed around. So yes, did I lose faith? I lost faith in man. But never did I lose faith in my Torah. Never did I lose faith in my God. My faith in God only became stronger. My grandfather said that when he was in Auschwitz, every day he thought the Mashiach was coming today. Who could fathom the deep-seated emunah and the soaring faith of these tzaddikim? No words have ever been created that could begin to describe the towering, unbending faith of these Jews, and reflecting on the soaring spirit of these heroes of the Jewish people. Perhaps this gives us an insight into understanding why Tisha B'Av is strangely considered a moyed, a Yom Tif. What kind of Yom Tif is it? What are we celebrating on Tisha B'Av? Perhaps we can suggest we cannot help but celebrate the majesty, the grandeur, the nobility of the Jewish soul, its indomitable spirit, its pure faith in its Creator. Tisha B'Av is a celebration of the unbreakable, unwavering, pure emunah of Klal Yisrael. Despite everything we've encountered and experienced, we never lost our faith. My grandfather echoed the haunting words of Yirmiyah HaNavi, Ani hagever ra, ani b'shevet avrasai. But my grandfather also echoed the great words of gratitude of David HaMelech. One time, I had the privilege to travel to Eretz Yisrael along with my grandparents, and my grandfather spent the plane ride devoted to his lifelong occupation, the recitation of Tehillim. And at one point he turned to me and said, Dani, look at this pasuk. This is my life. And he was pointing to the pasuk. Ki chilatzta nafshi mimaves. You rescued my soul from death. Es eini min dima, my eyes from tears. Es ragli midechi, my feet from stumbling. Es halech lefnei Hashem ba'artzos hachayim. I walk before God in the land of the living. Hashem delivered me from death, my grandfather said, and now I have the privilege to go to the land of the living, the land of Eretz Yisrael. Many years ago, we visited our grandfather in Pittsburgh, where he served as Rav for over 70 years. And at the site of 4 generations before him, he had a flashback to when he first came to Auschwitz. And the first thing he saw the old people being carried out, crying, who will say Kaddish for us? Who will say Kaddish for us? And my grandfather wondered, who will say Kaddish for you? Who will say Kaddish for me? I'm not married, I don't have children. And now, 70 years later, seeing grandchildren, great-grandchildren, said, Hayinu kachomim. It was like a dream. Grandfather's life was the embodiment of that which David HaMelech says, Oirech yamim asviyehu ve'areu bishuasi. With long life I will satisfy him and I will show him my salvation. But my grandfather's story is not only the story of one individual. It is symbolic of the story of the Jewish people, the story of Netzach Yisrael lo yishaker, the story that the eternity of the Jewish people will never be denied. My grandfather saw the glory of Jewish life in Europe before the war. He saw the darkness of the Holocaust. He saw the concealment. He saw the night. But he also saw the dawn the resurrection, the rebirth of the Jewish people in America, in Eretz Yisrael, of the yeshiva world, the courts of Hasidus. He also saw the dawn of the Jewish people. And for the rest of his life, he anxiously awaited sunrise of Nafshi Lashem Mishoimrim Laboikar Shoimrim Laboikar. This is from the preface of the Sefer, The Darkness and the Dawn. So you say, this sounds like such a good book. How do I get it? I knew you might ask that question. So here's the information. This book is available on artscroll.com, or you could go to our site, rabbidg.com. And you want to get free shipping also, you put in the promo code DAWNFREE, DAWNFREE, and you could get free shipping on this book. So you'll have it for the 3 weeks. I believe studying this book will enhance your appreciation for the 3 weeks, for Shiva Asar B'Tammuz, for Tisha B'Av, for the 9 days. There's a special section in the book about the Holocaust, about the incredible saga of the last 3 Rabbanim left in the Holocaust, in the Warsaw Ghetto. Information about the Warsaw Ghetto that is not published anywhere else. The amazing story of the Kloisenberger Rebbe during the Shoah, with chapters on the Spanish Inquisition, chapters on the Chmielnicki pogroms, and this is a book which, Be'ezus Hashem, not only you'll be able to use during the Galos. So you say, but what do I do with it when Mashiach comes? Oh, I thought you might ask that question. That's why we have a special chapter of how to read Megillas Eicha when Mashiach comes. There will be a special tune and a special interpretation, the interpretation cited by the Ben Ish Chai. So this book is good now, it's good tomorrow, ad bias goyal tzedek, ad va'ad bechlal. So that's the first part of tonight's special presentation, The Darkness of the Dawn, presented by Chazak. And again, we thank our sponsors, Chickens for Shabbos. Please go to the Yad Eliezer site, whatever you could do to contribute. You know, I was on a trip, and I met a friend of mine from France, and even he knew Chickens for Shabbos. I said, how do you know Chickens for Shabbos? He said, because I tune in to the Wednesday night Chazak events. Who doesn't know Chickens for Shabbos? So whatever you could do to help them out, Tavay Aleichem Bracha. Now, I want to segue into the second part of tonight's presentation, and that is I would like to talk about Shiva Asar B'Tammuz. Now, what exactly happened on Shiva Asar B'Tammuz? Now, I am going to share with you some sources. By the way, if you enjoy the shiurim on TorahAnytime.com, so please go to our site, because I highly recommend that it's not enough just to listen to the shiurim. You want to be able to see the Mar Mekoimos inside. So some of the Mar Mekoimos are obscure, some of them come from Sfarim that are not accessible or not available. So you go to our site and you subscribe to our newsletter, you'll get all the Mar Mekoimos. You could get access to the Dropbox of all the sources. Well, the Mishnah says in Maseches Tainis, and Daf Chav Vav Amud Aleph, going on to Chav Vav Amud Beis, 5 tragedies occurred to our forefathers in Mitzrayim, occurred to our forefathers on Shiva Asar B'Tammuz, and 5 tragedies occurred on Tisha B'Av. What are the 5 tragedies that occurred on Shiva Asar B'Tammuz? Number 1, the luchais were broken. Number 2, the carbon tamid stopped being brought. Number 3, the walls of the city were sieged. Number 4, apostomus burnt the Torah. And number 5, they erected a idol in the Heichal. Now, let's study when did these tragedies occur? When did this happen? Well, we know the luchos were broken. Moshe Rabbeinu said, I'll be right back. And Moshe said, I'll be back in 40 days. And he came back 40 days later, but the people couldn't wait. And they had already been serving the Egel. So Moshe Rabbeinu took the luchos and he broke the luchos in reaction to the Jewish people worshipping the golden calf. Then the Mishnah says Shiva Asar B'Tammuz was the day that the carbon tamid stopped being brought. Well, when did that happen? When did this carbon tummet stop being brought? The Yerushalmi brings two opinions. You have the opinion of Reb Shimon that it happened in the time of Bayesheni, in the times of the Greeks. Rav Levi says it happened during Bayesheni, but through the hands of the Romans. The Rambam says that it happened in Bayis Rishon by the Bavliim. Rashi and Daniel says it happened as a result of one of the decrees of Apastamos Harasha. Okay, so some say it was Bayis Rishon, some say it was Bayis Sheni. Then the walls of Yerushalayim were breached. When were the walls of Yerushalayim breached? Well, we know they were breached on the 17th of Tammuz in the times of Bayis Sheni. How about Bayis Rishon? It's a machlokes between the Bavli and the Yerushalmi. The Bavli says that it happened on the 9th of Tammuz. That is a Gemara in Rosh Hashanah, that it was breached on the 9th of Tammuz. Now, if you want to know where in Rosh Hashanah, so the way the Sefer is formatted is every Maramakom is annotated, and there are end notes. So at the end of each chapter, it gives you exactly where each Maramakom could be found. It's Masechta Rosh Hashanah, Daf Yud Ches Amud Beis. And the Yerushalmi, on the other hand, says that even though actually the Navi, Yirmiyah, says it happened on the 9th of Tammuz, nevertheless, that's not correct. It actually happened on the 17th. Why does the Navi say it happened on the 9th? Well, the Navi got it wrong. So Tosfos in Rosh Hashanah asked, the Navi got it wrong? How can the Navi get it wrong? The Navi is getting divine information. And Tosfos quotes the Yerushalmi, and that there was such great chaos in the time that in order to preserve the chaotic feel of the time, the Navi intentionally wrote the wrong date, the date the people thought it was. And then Apostomus burnt the Torah. When? Apostomus was the Greek general in the beginning of the Bayis Sheni. The Tiferes Yisrael says that the Sefer Torah that Apostomus burnt was the Sefer Torah of Ezra. It was the authoritative text of the Torah. Or the Tiferes Yisrael says Apostomus actually tried to burn all of the Sefer Torah. And then an idol was erected in the Beis Hamikdash. Rashi says that this occurred in the times of King Menashe during Bayis Rishon. And the Mishnah seems to imply that this happened through Apostomus as well. So it's very unusual that the Mishnah lists a seemingly random collection of tragedies. I mean, according to Rashi, where the Torah was burnt, that happened during Bayis Rishon. Why would that be listed after tragedies that occurred during Bayis Sheni? According to the Bavli, the walls of Yerushalayim were breached on the 17th, only in Bayis Sheni. So why would the Mishnah write that before Apostomus burning the Sefer Torah, which happened before the walls were breached? So it seems like a random collection of 5 tragedies. They all happen to occur on Shavas B'Tammuz, and they're not even listed in chronological order. Why is that? What is the meaning of these 5 tragedies all occurring on the same day? That's very interesting. This week we read Parshas Balak. And the pasuk says, Perek Chav Daled, pasuk Aleph, Vayar Bilam ki toiv be'inei Hashem levarech es Yisrael v'leiholach kefam v'am l'gras l'chashim vayashas el hamidbar panav. Bilam saw that it wasn't working. His regular method, his standard method wasn't working, so he directed his gaze toward the midbar. What exactly was Bilam looking at? Says Rashi. Look in the Targum. Targum says Bilam looked to the midbar. He was looking at the Ched Ha'egel. He was looking at a point of vulnerability. Interesting. So Bilam was looking to capitalize on the Ched Ha'egel. Do you think it's a coincidence that we always read Parshas Balak the week before Shiva Asar B'Tammuz? The Ched Ha'egel happened on Shiva Asar B'Tammuz. Bilam is looking to cause tragedy and disaster on Shiva Asar B'Tammuz. It's not a coincidence. Now it's interesting. in Parak Kuvav of Tehillim. David HaMelech talks about various events that happened in the Midbar, and he describes the Chet HaEgel in Pasuk Chaf, Vayamiru es kevoidam betavnes shar oichal Esav. They exchanged their glory, they exchanged God for the image of an ox that eats Esav, grass. Obviously this is a reference to the Chet HaEgel, but why would David HaMelech need to give me the diet of the cow? Why do I need to know the cow ate grass? Let's say the cow ate potato kugel. Then it would have been a different Avera. Let's say the cow ate sauteed liver. Although I doubt a cow would want to eat the sauteed liver, certainly not of another cow. But you get the point. Why does David HaMelech need to describe what the cow ate? Says the Arizal, Oyoim v'noira, an amazing thing. First, the Ari says that the soul of Bilam's father, Be'ar, was trapped in the Egel. He was the one who cried out, Eila Elohecha Yisrael. Now we understand why Bilam has this fascination with the Chet HaEgel. But furthermore, in the Shar HaGugulim, Arizal writes that Bilam had two sons, Eunice and Yumbarus, who they made the Egel in Chodesh Tammuz, and this is what is being described in the Pasuk, Besavnes Shar Oichal Esav. And again, this gives us further understanding of what Bilam was fascinated with the Egel. By the way, Targum Yonasan ben Uziel says that when Bilam brought along two attendants, his Shnei Na'arav, of course, were Yunas and Yumbarus. And then the Ari drops the bombshell. You know why it says, Besavnis Shar Oichel Esav? Esav was not the diet of the cow. Esav is Rashi Tevis Shiva Asar B'Tammuz. It's the date that the sin was committed. So Bilam was looking to capitalize. Bilam was looking to uncover. Bilam was looking to find the vulnerability of Churban, and of course that's Esav, the Chet HaEgel. Another location where we find the words Esav is in Shir HaShirim, on the Pasuk. Ad she'hamelech b'mesiboi nirdi nasan reichai. While the king was still at the party, we gave off a foul odor. What does this refer to? It says the Gemara in Gittin, this refers to the despicability of how we were at Sinai. We were under the chuppah, and we committed an act of adultery by sinning with the Egel. Ad shahamelech b'mesiboi Rashi Tevis ayin sin beis Esav. When did we sin with the Egel? Shiva Asar B'Tammuz. Comes the great Aruch LaNer. The Aruch LaNer lived from 1798 to 1871. He was a student of the son of the Shagas Aryeh. By the way, if you want to have the zuchus to go to the Shagas Aryeh's kever, please join us on our trip to France. In under 2 weeks, we still have a number of spots left. It's going to be one of the most incredible journeys, really, that anyone has ever been on. We're going to be at Rashi's kever on his yard site. The Aruch LaNer was a student of Rabbi Avram Bing of Würzburg as well. He wrote on many Masechtas of Shas. He wrote Bikur Yaakov and Hilchos Sukkah, quoted by Mishnah Berurah. He was later the chief rabbi of Altona, a great Mekubal as well. His diligence was unusual. He would go to sleep at 2 a.m. and he was already up by 5 a.m. Mukhtar, B'talos U'tfilin, and he learned until midday. His neshama went up to Shemayim the first night of Chanukah. Says the Aruch LaNer, the list of tragedies mentioned in Maseches Tainis is not a random collection of tragedy that just so happened to occur on this day, but rather, says the Aruch LaNer, this is a 5-step downward spiral of Jewish decline throughout our history. It all begins with Nishtabru Haluchos. The source of all vitality for the Jewish people is Kvios Itim LaTorah, fixing steady times to study Torah. But as soon as people don't learn consistently, Nishtabru Haluchos, the Luchos are broken, and that leads to Batel HaTamid. Because if you're not learning regularly, then people start phasing out. They don't go to Shachris Mincha Marav every day. Maybe they'll miss a Marav with a minyan occasionally, and then a Mincha, and then maybe they only go Monday and Thursday, and then Maybe they only go Shabbos and they stop going Shabbos Friday night, and by Mincha only Shabbos day, and then only Shabbos Mevarchim, and then only the high holidays, and then sometimes only Ne'ilah, and then it's all over. Because then, Huvka Ha'ir, the Jew is called a city. Ir Ketana, he's a fortified city. But now the city is breached. The Torah ceases. The steady and consistent attendance of tefillah slows down, and now the Jew is full prey to the wiles of the Yetzer Hara, and therefore saraf haTorah, the whole Torah goes up in flames. Not one single mitzvah will be observed. All observance will be minimized, and until finally Hamid Tselem Behechal. While maybe in the first generation there was still some level of connection to Torah. And the next generation, maybe they never went to shul, but at least they wore the Star of David around their necks. But then in the third generation, Hamed Selam Behechal, instead of a Magen David around their necks, there's a symbol of a different religion. It all starts with Batla. It all starts with Nishtabru Haluchais. It all starts with a lack of learning Torah. It all starts with slackening off in one's hasmada, in one's sidarim, in one's shiurim. You know, there's no coincidence, says the Bnei Yissaschar. There are how many hours in the 3 weeks? The 22 days of the 3 weeks. Again, from 3 weeks is really a misnomer. It's really 22 days. There are 528 hours in the 3 weeks. Gematria Mafteach. Because these hours are the key for Geula. Amazingly, the Megala Amukos points out, there are likewise 528 prakim in Shas. This alludes to the idea that Gam Kiyitnu Bagoyim Ata Kabetzim, that Ein Kal HaGoliyos Miskansois Ela B'Zchus HaMishnah, then the merit of learning Mishnayos, Hashem will redeem the Jewish people. 528 hours of the 3 weeks correspond to the 528 hours of Shas. Now, the 528 prakim of Shas, of Shishe Sidrei Mishnah, what's the connection between the prakim of Mishnayos and the 3 weeks? But the answer is, since the whole downward spiral, according to the Aruch Ner, is because of lack of Torah study, therefore the 528 hours of the 3 weeks were enacted corresponding to the 528 prakim of Shisha Sidrei Mishnah. Namely, that if we strengthen ourselves in the study of the Mishnah, Gam ki yitnu ba'goyim ata akabetzim. So Rabbi Shai Berlin, who wrote Hagois on the Masar Sashas, points out that there are only 523 prakim of Mishnah. However, the Bnei Yissaschar says that while that is accurate, there are 5 prakim of Braisa or Tosefta, the 4th parak of Bikurim, the 6th parak of Perkei Avos, Tosefta Ampsachim, Kedushin, and Soita. They correspond to the last 5 hours of the 3 weeks, which are not really Yemei Tzara, but that is already when Mashiach is born, and by midday we already get up and we start preparing for the Geula. You know, the month Tammuz also alludes to this idea that our focus needs to be in rectifying the Nishtabru Haluchos. Rav Nachman of Breslov writes, Tammuz stands for Zman Matan Torah. After all, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave Klal Yisrael the Luchos Rishonos on Shavasa B'Tammuz. They don't want to take it, but it is Zman Matan Torah. Yeah, and what happened to the Vav? Isn't Tammuz spelled with a Vav? Well, the Luchos were 6 by 6, and the Luchos were broken. So that's why there's no Vav in this Remez. Furthermore, Chazal say that when the Luchos were broken, it brought forgetfulness. People began to forget their learning. So Tammuz stands for Zichru Toras Moshe. While the breaking of the Luchos caused us to forget the Torah, the month of Tammuz encourages us to remember the Torah. Zichru Toras Moshe. In fact, I'll tell you a little gematria that is so powerful that actually the Brisker Rav, when he heard this gematria of Rabbi Yosef Chaim Zonnefeld, he said, this was said Baruch HaKodesh. We're going to read in the Haftarah of the 3 weeks. Tzion b'mishpat tipadeh v'shaveha b'tzedakah. Tzion will be redeemed with justice, and her captives with righteousness. Says Rabbi Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld, Tzion b'mishpat tipadeh, Zion will be redeemed with mishpat, that is Gematria, Talmud Yushalmi. V'shaveha b'tzedakah is Gematria, Talmud Bavli, indicating, as we've learned, that the key to the Geula, the Mafteach 528, is the learning of Talmud Bavli and Talmud Yushalmi. Therefore, there is no question that in the opening pasuk of this week's Haftarah, we say, V'haya she'eris Yaakov, it will be the remnant of Jacob, Be'kerev amim rabim, among the many nations, Ketal me'es Hashem, like dew from God, Kervivim alei Esev. God will make it rain on Esev. Esev is Shivasa Tammuz. Right now it's the day of tragedy. But the rain, the Torah, in Mayim el Torah will come down and it will transform the Tzoim HaRavi unto Sasain the Simcha LaYehudim. V'Tzoim HaRavi, V'Tzoim HaChamishi, V'Tzoim HaShvi, V'Tzoim HaAsiri, Yeh LeBeis Yehuda, L'Mayadim Toivim, V'Ha'emes, V'Hashalom Ehavu. So, we all hope for that day. You know, the Chidah writes that when Aaron told the Bnei Yisrael, bear with me, I'm going to make the Egel, Chag Lashem Machar. What's Chag Lashem Machar? Yesh Machar La'achar Zman. In the future, Shiva Asar B'Tammuz will be a Yom Tov. So, please let us take advantage of these Yimei HaMetzarim, days dedicated to elevate our study of Torah and transform this time of the year into Yimei Simcha for Klal Yisrael. This all comes from the preface of the book, The Darkness of the Dawn, and chapter 1. There are many, many chapters that, Be'ezus Hashem, I hope you'll find meaningful. You could get the book on artscroll.com or on our site, rabbidg.com. Put in the promo code Dawn free for free shipping. I want to thank Chazak, Rabbi Yaniv, Rabbi Ilan, Rabbi for hosting tonight's event. And again, we thank our generous sponsors, Chickens for Shabbos, for sponsoring this important event. Please go to the Yad Eliezer site, click the icons for Malamdim, Agunas and Grushais, whatever you could do to help out Yidden, you'll be Mekayim, Tzion, B'mishpat, Tipadeh, V'shaveha, B'tzedakah. May we all be Zoicha. Tzoim HaRavi, V'tzoim HaChamishi, V'tzoim HaShvi, V'tzoim HaAsiri, Yeh LeBeis Yehuda, L'sasayin L'simcha, L'mayadim Tovim, V'ha'emes, V'hashalom Ehavu. Have an easy fast. Bracha v'hatzlacha.
Rabbi Glatstein, for your tremendous remarks this evening on the amazing book, The Darkness and the Dawn, which could be purchased right now at artscroll.com or rabbidg.com. Make sure to use the promo code DAWNFREE, DAWANFREE, for free shipping. Again, artscroll.com or rabbidg.com. Make sure to use the promo code for free shipping. Use the promo code DAWNFREE, DAWANFREE. And we want to thank everyone for joining us this evening. This was presented by the Chazak organization, Chickens for Shabbos. As you know, the Chazak organization organizes amazing shurim and events in person and virtually. If someone would be interested to sponsor a future Chazak shir or event in person or virtually in memory of a loved one, of a yard site, of dedicated for Fuh Shlema, reach out to Chazak at events@chazak.org. That is spelled EVENTS@CHAZAQ.org. Chazak's main mission to help Jewish public school students educate them about the beauty of Yiddishkeit, of Judaism, through after school and Sunday school programs in over 15 locations, and with the ultimate goal of hopefully helping them transfer to yeshiva. In the last 5 years, Chazak has helped transfer over 1,200 children from public school to yeshiva. And if anyone knows someone who has children in public school, like to transfer to yeshiva, or would like an after-school program in their community, or they could attend one of the Chazak's after-school programs, reach out to Chazak at psty@chazak.org. That's spelled psty@chazaq.org. Everyone is reminded to support the great work of Chickens for Shabbos, which is a tremendous organization which helps feed the families agunos, women can't get divorced, grushos, divorcees, was malam, teachers of Torah like Rabbi, and everyone should support them right now. It'll be a tremendous chus, a tremendous mitzvah, and there'll be a great merit for you and your family. Support right now at chickensforshabbos.com. Chickensforshabbos.com. Thank you everyone for joining us this evening, and have a great night.